Thank you very much. I invite the congregation to stand for the reading of the gospel. The Holy Gospel according to St. Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
The apostles gathered around Jesus and told him all that they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away to a deserted place all by yourselves and rest for a while." For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. And they went away in the boat to a deserted place by themselves. Now many saw them going and recognized them, and they hurried there on foot from all the towns and arrived ahead of them. As he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. When they had crossed over, they came to land at Gennesaret and moored the boat. When they had got out of the boat, people at once recognized him and rushed about that whole region and began to bring the sick on mats to wherever they heard he was. And wherever he went, into villages or cities or farms, they laid the sick in the marketplaces and begged him that they might touch even the fringe of his cloak. And all who touched it were healed. This is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Please be seated. Well, we made it back from our mission trip, and we have so many short stories to share with you. It was quite a trip and a wonderful experience. We were so busy and so tired while we were there. I have to say it was difficult to even process what was happening, what it meant, and how it was impacting us. But now that I've had some time to rest and reflect and read over the gospel for today, our mission in Benton Harbor, Michigan has become clearer. You see, our gospel lesson today reminds us how our God views the world and how our God views Benton Harbor and all the people who live there. It says in the Gospel of Mark, Jesus saw the great crowd and he had compassion for them. Here it is in the Gospel of Mark, the answer to the question of how our God views the world, how our God views Benton Harbor. God views all people with compassion, and therefore, we are invited to view all people with the same lens. You see, for many religions, both primitive and recent, deities have been regarded to one degree or another as ominous, wrathful, vengeful, angry, and vindictive. But this is completely opposite of who our Jesus is and what he does. And he does not reveal himself in an abstract absoluteness, but in a personal and intimate relation to the world, moved and affected by what happens in the world. When Jesus saw the people who were sheep without a shepherd, he moved toward them. He wanted to help. He loved without limits. As many of you know, at 2:30 a.m. on Saturday, July 10th, the last day of our trip, I woke up with a debilitating migraine. So I got dressed and I went down to the hotel lobby. Lobby clerk suggested that I walk a half a mile to a gas station, 2:30 in the morning, open 24 hours, so I could get some pain pills. It was dark, it was cold, but I was desperate. I needed to get better. After all, I had a group of 9 people counting on me to lead them to the airport at 5 a.m. And I had countless family members counting on those people arriving to the Phoenix Mesa airport at 8 a.m. If you ask my family, I pack so meticulously and deliberately that these kinds of things are extremely foreign to me. After all, I'm prepared. If it's not in one bag, it's in the other. But that didn't matter at the moment. I needed help. And I do believe that God sent an angel to the hotel next door. I saw her inside the lobby. She probably was wondering who this lady was walking in at 2:30 in the morning. But once I told her my story, she stopped everything she was doing and went to the back room and proceeded to pour a jar of acetaminophen into an envelope and wished me well. Now, I wasn't able to take those pills until later, unfortunately, because everything was coming up. But when I did, I was reminded of how desperate I was and how I needed to rely on the kindness of a stranger at that moment. I take a lot of pride in being prepared, thinking ahead, planning for all scenarios. But that didn't matter at the moment. I was weak, vulnerable, and desperate. And I was reminded of what it meant to be in need of a God of compassion. You see, not only do I like being prepared, but I also take a lot of pride in making sure that I take care of all of the youth, because there are parents who entrust them to me. That didn't matter at that moment. As it turned out at 5 a.m., when it was time to go, I myself was not capable of leading them home. But that guy back there, he was. He was capable, and he was understanding, and he did an excellent job. He got them all home safely, something I couldn't have done at the moment. It doesn't matter how hard we've worked or showed up or dotted our I's or crossed our T's, made the right decisions or took the right paths. We are all still desperate for our God of compassion. And we are all in the same boat as everyone else who is desperate for our God of compassion. The people of Benton Harbor had seen many struggles in the last 40 years. Some stayed, some left, never to return again, and some returned after many years, determined to make it a better place. When our group traveled across the country to help Benton Harbor and help people like Jerry, the commissioner of Benton Harbor, who I'm sure you're going to hear stories from on August 1st, we came to help Jerry make Benton Harbor a better place and to provide them with some hope for their future of their city and its people. We came to share compassion because that is what our God is all about. Even though the people in Benton Harbor weren't rushing up to us begging for help like the people in the gospel were doing for Jesus, people in Benton Harbor, I'm sure they quietly wished for a city that was known for more than its poverty and its racial, social, and economic injustice. So we, along with many other volunteers throughout the summer, we showed up, doing what we could to remind them of a God of compassion, a God who wants the very best for them and who has not forgotten them. And maybe, just maybe, this is another reminder that God also sees us this way. Amen.